But right now, we're going to start off with what was one of the best performances I've seen out of Albert Okwuegbunam. One-handed catch, a big Albert O hurdle, big night for the tight end who had a lack of opportunity in the past. 7 receptions, 109 yards, 1 touchdown. It's enough for player of the game for me. Guys, how'd you feel about Albert O's showing? He was highlighted for a reason, but I want to give him his flowers.
Zach, I'm gonna agree with Bree for the positives. I'm gonna throw you the oop for the negatives.
You're putting me in a tough spot because my bad is how awful.
Listen, be the bad guy for once, Zach. Okay. Just be the bad guy. Can you not be the bad guy for the pod?
For once,
for the sake of the
pod,
pod,
watch the first 1945 of this show. Continue, Joey. Sorry.
Embrace the villain, man. That's what we need. No, I'm kidding.
Remember when Bree threatened my life? I think she said she was going to end me less than 5 minutes ago, and you're just like, Zach, be the bad guy for once. Continue. No, I'll be the bad guy. Fine. Hype up.
Bree and I do it all the time, please. Okay, like it's ridiculous on this show. I personally, I've been a big Albert O critic. I maybe the biggest ever. I think out of everybody, a lot of jokes have been made about Albert O.
Play the tape.
I will say though, his biggest thing for me was one, like his hands have always been a little inconsistent to me. Like it's one thing. He always gets in a really good body position to be able to make a catch. Hands a little inconsistent once he gets in there. Secondly, though, the blocking. The blocking looks like he improved, which is crazy. Like I'm not going to sit here and apologize for what I said in the past at all because it just wasn't there. It just wasn't. And I can't predict these guys just getting that massively better. He looks like he's a pretty good blocking tight end if I'm looking at just the preseason games, which is cool. It's really cool. Like it makes me want to be, hey, if Greg Dulcich went down, I would feel comfortable with Albert O putting in his place. I would rather a Adam Trotman playing your inline and Albert O playing your other tight end more than I would Chris Manhertz and then Adam Trotman's my other tight end. Like I think it puts that in the mix for me, I will say. So Albert O, he looked really, really good. That one-hand catch, awesome. I do have to point out, I think the Broncos did put him in position to succeed. There's nothing wrong with that because he took advantage of his opportunities. I can't criticize him for that. He took advantage of every opportunity and then some. He did more than expected in those opportunities. It's going to make it really tough for the Broncos because from everything you hear, this is a guy that they've been trying to trade and they've had no biters. So, hey, I don't know what to think there. Personally, if I were the Broncos, I'd probably still trade him, and I'll tell you guys why real quick. It's just because he's on that last year of his deal, and it's hard for me to think of a situation where I want him starting. Is he in the mix there? Is he in the mix if a guy gets hurt? Okay, do we plug in Albert O? If it isn't Greg Dulcich, it's hard for me to find a situation. And then even if it is Greg Dulcich, it's competition. Like I'm not entirely sure. I can't put all my stock into a few preseason games. So if they were trying to trade him before, I don't think I would get off of that stance at all. But once you have your evaluation, one game shouldn't change it. It just really shouldn't change it. And I don't know. The Broncos have been looking at tight ends this entire year. It leads me to believe that they aren't huge fans of Albert O, and they were trying to get his trade value up. And I think, hey, if that's what they were trying to do, they did exactly that because he did more than enough to show his value last week.
He's not replacing Chris Manhertz. I will say that with
as a receiver, certainty. He's a ton better than Chris Manhertz, though.
But he's not replacing him on the roster. There's a 0% chance of that.
No, but he's more talented. To Ray's point, I will say, just to give some people some credit, he's more talented than Manhertz is one task, and you know what he's out there for. If Albert O gets better at blocking, he could be in there at every single snap because he can be a receiving tight end and help in the blocking.
I still disagree. I think he's a fine blocker. I think Chris Manhertz is a fine receiver too. I saw as much from Chris Manhertz receiving in training camp as I did from Albert Okwuegbunam blocking. And in NFL games, we've seen more from Chris Manhertz as a receiver, which again is very little. Of all NFL tight ends last year, he had the his team had the highest run rate when he was in the offense. So he is like even more than Eric Tomlinson last year. Like he's in the game, they're running the ball. He's an extra offensive lineman. With what this Broncos team is trying to be under Sean Payton, at least as long as Russell Wilson is around, Chris Manhertz fits that view so much better. I do not see him replacing him. I think Manhertz was like a college basketball player. Like he's very talented, very athletic. He's been an 8-year NFL pro as a pure blocker for a reason. Yeah, I will take his talent to Albert. These are both professional NFL players. Albert was like been a borderline practice squatter, and Chris Manhertz has been an 8-year NFL pro. I'll take Manhertz on the talent side. I'll get my one positive thing in with Alberto. Tight ends generally develop like year 3, 4 in the league is when we see them take a big step. We've started to see speculative contracts at tight ends in a way we don't really see with other positions. And yes, you're always paying guys for the future, but teams are paying their guys for things they have not demonstrated they can do yet. You look at the Cole Kmet deal, you look at 200 career yards, but like what has Albert O done as a blocker in like regular season NFL games is what I'm saying.
No, but
I understand the bar is low.
It's okay. But if Albert O did improve as a blocker, he's better than Chris Manhertz and more valuable. Bro, he's already had a year with over 200 career yards.
In what like I so disagree. They signed Chris Manhertz because they want an elite blocker, not like a guy who's an okay blocker and like good red zone.
But Manhertz is a complete tell. That's the issue. He's literally a tell. You might as well.
But they knew that when they signed him
last year than Cam Fleming. Like you might as well put Cam Fleming's ass out there.
I guess, but like they signed. It's not like this isn't news to Sean Payton and George Payton or the seven NFL teams or the 7 NFL organizations in the past that have employed him.
From their perspective, I agree. I totally agree.
If Albert O improves considerably as a block, like I agree, there's a point to where he could improve where he's better. I just think that's like he's not reached that point. I disagree there. Manhertz is tight end 2 on this team, I think, and we're talking about whether or not O is tight end 4.
Wait, qualify that statement for me, please.
You got Dulcich, you got or I guess what Troutman was probably that's right. We'll see if that comes to fruition. I'll be curious if
you're just.
I'm expecting
tonight.
Expecting Manhertz to be second in snaps. I do stand by that. With what this team is trying to be, I think they want to be heavy personnel. We're going to punch you in the face a lot and run the ball down your throat.
But we didn't see that. But we didn't see that during preseason. We didn't see that during training camp necessarily. I think that's a guy.
Saw tons of it in training camp.
I don't think to the level in which you're seeing a more snap count from Manhertz, because the idea is that you want to be versatile and you want to be able to flip somebody like Troutman who can block and receive. Dulcich has been getting better there. Albert O has been getting better there because you don't want them to know exactly what you're doing at all times, although Manhertz is valuable. So on those very heavy, let's say 3rd down conversions in which the Broncos need to run the ball and get that first down, I think, you may see Manhertz utilized in those roles, but I don't think that brings him up on the depth chart as far as the tight end position goes.
I agree.
Sure. I think
Payton loves Troutman. Not only did he trade for him, he was listed as number 1 tight end off the depth chart. I think that I would almost lean closer, Zach. I think Dulcich is going to get the most tight end snaps this year. But if I were to say there would be someone like vying to take those snaps from him, it's going to be Troutman.
No, I'd agree with you. I think, now that you guys have said that, I agree. I think it's Troutman is probably tight end 1 on this team ultimately in terms of snaps. And Dulcich's talent could easily beat him out. But they want that versatility and everything. I think you go Troutman and then Dulcich and Manhertz are your more situational tight ends. I would still take Manhertz over comfortably.
I don't need to defend Dulcich, Rock, because the thing is, we know where he stands on this roster. We all love him. I loved him first. I'm just telling you that I'm not worried about where he falls on this position. I don't think he's at an escapable means to be cut. We just need to make sure that he stays healthy, and we're going to see exactly the kind of output that we anticipated there. Guys, tight end talk's getting a little lean. Oh, go ahead, Zach.
Sorry, I never got to the negative point of Albert O because we went down.
Oh my God.
I know, it was insane. I don't know. Finally pop in year 4. You guys kept interrupting me. Look in the mirror. Albert could finally pop in year 4. I just think Sean Payton comes in and is putting him on the trade block and is looking for trade suitors all throughout training camp and preseason. Nathaniel Hackett comes in and immediately is like celebrating, and Hackett's a goofy guy, fair, but is immediately like jumping up and down, celebrating in the draft room because they got Dulcich, who can, quote, do something that no other tight end on the roster can do. Totally overlooking Albert O. Just like, hey, forget about that guy. I think we would have seen more of it from Albert O. At this point, I do think he's the 4th best tight end they have. It makes sense for him to be on the roster. I would trade him for a 7th round pick if that was an option. I don't know. I think I'm excited by the growth we've seen from Albert O. I just think it's maybe being blown up a little too much on Broncos Twitter. Like, it will be surprising if this guy has 150 receiving yards. The last time Sean Payton was an NFL head coach, his number 2 tight end had 15 receptions on the season.
Mm-hmm.
Or targets. Sorry, 15 targets. His second most targeted, utilized tight end had 15 targets and 10 receptions.
We talked about it a lot when Peyton got hired, that we were possibly going to see a fall off there for the tight ends. I was worried about that implication for Greg Dulcich, and Albert O is all but written off. So there's this idea that you're not sure what you're going to see if Russell Wilson isn't finding somewhat of the midfield in that I guess in that realm.